Welcome back, guys. We had a bit of a break after game number 3, where Kingzone was finally able to turn it back around here up against the Afreeca Freecs. It was hard going. Afreeca put up a good fight, but Kingzone looked really good, especially BDD on his Zoe.
Increasing lane priority helped Kingzone, where they had CS and priority advantages in the mid to late game. Spirit couldn't just roam in with his own ult, his Malzahar ult reliably. And then when it came to the clutch, it was a very even game, but Kingzone able to clutch it out in those last couple of fights. Xayah not getting value from her 3 to 4 item build in 2 team fights in a row was so important to Kingzone. Being able to win game number 3 and not allow this to be a clean sweep for Afreeca Freecs. Watch BDD on the roam. I think Afreeca could have been more decisive about either going all onto the Baron after the pick onto the Morgana, or onto the Elder, I should say, or fully committing to a fight. Instead, they stay leashed, they move in 2 different directions, and they kind of invite BDD to assassinate Kramer on the side.
Yeah, he's just hanging out there. Kramer says, oh, I don't have to worry about him. And it was actually the Cask that knocked him into BDD, who lined it up. Cask did more than that, and actually knocked the Ornn in as well and netted them that kill. So I would say the MVP of that fight was Afreeca not putting the engage together, but also that one Cask that just split up the pieces for Kingzone to pick away.
And maybe one of the pieces to pick away from Kingzone is the Zoe, because it's one that BDD has had an amazing time on in recent memory. The Varus first pick also didn't end up being to the cost of Kingzone. They are always most confident when Prey is on the Ashe or the Varus. He is a great initiating AD carry, and he's not getting Ashe anytime soon, unless things change in pick and ban. Better give our postseason MVP votes over. I know mine will be with BDD.
Yep, handed to BDD. I think Khan had a good Cask at the end, but it was really just the BDD show. Peanut had that one team fight. Let's see who it's going to be. Will be BDD, as we just need to give him more points. Deserves the most points here. A lot of people's hearts. Had that super play at the Elder Drake for his team, to save his team. That's what it says at the top. And, well, his Zoe, it didn't do much early on, but it struck where it hurt the most.
And importantly, because the lanes weren't losing, there was an actual team game going on here. BD didn't have side lanes that were really struggling this time. Meant they could be more comfortable squaring up the top side, picking the Varus away. That meant that Kingzone actually had a platform for BDD to build upon, and we know how he can take over a series if he has that platform. There is some BDD fan signs in the audience. Peanut won as well. Peanut stays in. The red side will be chosen for Afreeca in game number 4. So we're keeping on. 4 games of Afreeca red and Kingzone DragonX on the blue.
Yep, the complexity of the draft should grow even larger. Let's see what they have prepared here for game number 4.
No roster changes. Again, Afreeca Freecs, games 2 and 4 with side selection. Choose red side for game 4. I guess we could go all Afreeca red side, which will be the same as what we saw in the spring final. Interesting symmetry there, as that was first pick Kai'Sa every game, you'll be remembering. Suppose of picks in this game, we're going to have the Taliyah banned away by Kingzone. They're going to opt into that again.
They banned the Ashe, which means that most likely a Tahm Kench third, as we did see in 2 games in a row, but that does mean that the Varus does go through once again in the first pick over to Kingzone. Prey looked much better on that pick. I suppose they would much rather deal with the Varus instead of the Tahm Kench.
No reason for Kingzone to change that around. No Zoe ban, because Aatrox and Ashe are deemed much bans against Kingzone. Ashe Tahm Kench, their favorite duo. Be surprised if too many teams get that here in the playoffs in Korea. How do Afreeca Freecs draft on the red side in the first round this time out? Jungle pool is very wide. Predator jungle has been what they prefer, and they could go back to the Gragas if they wanted it.
I think ditch the Xayah Rakan, take Gragas for yourself.
Yep, I agree.
And, well, that's what happened first here.
Gragas Alistar could be a pretty strong duo of picks.
You open up that Yasuo potential, right? Doesn't have to pick it, but obviously the double knockup is nice. They're thinking about Xayah here once again, though.
I think this is more about Kramer, because Kramer has been traditionally a Xayah player, and he hasn't played a lot of marksman this season. So if he's comfortable on Xayah, I think it's fine. To me, there's other picks that are a little bit higher ticket right now. but I don't mind the Xayah coming through, and it does allow him to lift off and perhaps dodge a skill shot from Kingzone. Seeing the picks here, we mentioned the Alistar already, very likely to be snapped up by Kingzone.
Alistar, easy peasy pickup. What are they thinking next, though? Perhaps that jungle pick, we saw the Trundle flash. It's really good into the Gragas. And tank junglers in general. And Peanut also has most played on the Trundle, 5 and 2. Looks like they're going to pick that one up.
Is Kuro bold enough to first round Yasuo against BDD? Because we know he's bold enough to first round Yasuo, but against BDD is a very different conundrum when he is in such a rare form.
Yeah.
Can just take the Xayah Khan again if they want it. Khan not going to be taken away by Kingzone. Didn't see any real value. I thought Tucson was a little bit off on his trademark Rakan in game number 3. Already at game number 4, so game number 3.
Game number 1 that Kingzone won.
Yeah, that was a while ago now. In game number 4, they will return to Xayah Khan. Still plenty of lane power. They could ban Morgana this time if they want the Xayah Khan to have a bit of a... Well, I guess the Alistar's there already. That's going to hurt the laning power of the Alistar and Varus. There's definitely a scenario where Xayah Khan win this. When it comes to the bans then, will they be banning away the Zoe? They will.
Get her off the rift is what I say. Not a big fan of leaving that up for BDD. He'll blind pick it. Doesn't matter what he'll do. How about another ban to BDD? No, they'll go ahead and ban for Khan this time. No Camille for him.
Feels like Cho'Gath into last pick Yasuo is kind of what they're looking at. When you're thinking of the draft they put together, they already have multiple ways to set up the last breath. And the last pick would mean that Kingzone would have to be a little bit less brash in their blind pick. Kingzone, will they ban away the Cho'Gath? Something you could consider here, but Ornn replaces it quite easily. Kingzone say, hey, we want to play Ryze. So what does Afreeca Freecs do?
We play Ryze instead. Well, how about that? The Ryze going to be picked up here. Can be flexed, by the way.
Keen is a big-time top lane Ryze player. So very real chance he'll be jumping on that. Kingzone can't opt into it too easily. And also, it'd be a magic damage dealer, and Yasuo would still be available.
Huh.
So,
there you have it.
How did Kingzone work this one out? BDD's Orianna would be a wombo engage tool with the Alistar, and they will go that way. So strong engage from Kingzone. I don't think they're too interested in opting into 1-3-1. They have finally, like we mentioned, been able to diagnose what they opted into in games 1 and 2, where they went for meta 1-3-1, lost on that to a 4-1 Baron comp, and now they're going to set up a 4-1 Baron comp with some pretty good siege. Kingzone DragonX, they will not go down 3 games with the same strategy. Afreeca Freecs, how are you feeling about that Yasuo, Kuro? Is this the time to be a superstar against your old 3 teammates?
Could be. Obviously, some counters on the side of Kingzone. They're just going to go ahead and go straight into LeBlanc up against Orianna in the mid lane. Kuro, he wants to do the carrying for game number 4.
He goes for the range choice, a blind pick. LeBlanc preferred recently, a great pick for Kuro historically as well. Was banned in the second round of game number 3. He's going to run LeBlanc into Ori, a fun skill matchup. BDD has been in great form, but Kuro's LeBlanc is something to be feared.
They banned it, if you guys will remember, in game number 3. They did not want to see that up against Zoe or any kind of blind pick that they were going to take on the blue side. This time it's the Orianna. They ban out the Vel'Koz instead. They say, we have different ideas with the Zoe ban. And I'm really excited for that lane in particular. I feel like Keen also in the past has shown some incredible Ryze play in the top lane. Only 2 games on it this season, but does have a history on the pick.
And BDD knows the target is on his head, and basically his head alone. Cho'Gath will build 1 magic resist item, and then AP Gragas from the jungle, Ryze and LeBlanc, what's a boy to do? But when it comes to laning through mid lane, a lot of reliable CC, the Predator Gragas coming through the mid lane as well, other people roaming in. They've definitely got BDD's name circled, underlined, and then some. They can find a way to shut down BDD. That's Afreeca Freecs' best way to blow open this game going into the mid game.
Well, we've had Orianna's get shut down before by a guy like BDD on the Zoe. We'll see if Afreeca Freecs can do something similar up against BDD himself on the Orianna. The countdown has started, guys. Let's jump into game number 4. Kingzone DragonX up against the Afreeca Freecs.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Nexon Arena is filled for this game number 4 and playoff round number 1. Worlds is on the line, as we said before, guys. If Kingzone win, they go directly to Worlds. They do have to play out the playoffs as well. Would like another LCK title, but also if Afreeca do win, they open up the chance for themselves to get that Worlds title if they can make it into the finals, but also immediately KT would get that Worlds spot.
And while, of course, they'll be razor-sharply focused on winning the domestic title, it's not just Worlds this year, it's Worlds in Korea, Valdez, and that, of course, means so much to this domestic talent to play in front of their home fans. This is the year you want to qualify for Worlds. So much of the past can be the past. The water can stay under the bridge if you make it to Worlds in Korea. That's definitely going to be the KT mantra, and as you mentioned, KT fans just want to see a one-game victory, 3 match points for Afreeca Freecs after their 2-game victories in Game 1 and Game 2. 1 match point was repelled by Kingzone. How will they do in this game number 4?
Well, start off the game, Tucson getting that support item to give him 30 gold as Gorilla just eats the damage in the front. Tucson, a lot of the guys on Afreeca Freecs, we mentioned this before, both of these teams definitely like to have fun while they're playing. Lots of smiles, you know, Peanut, even after his loss in the booth, keeping things light and just laughing it off as he picked the Kindred in game number 3 and won on it. Even after the last game that we did have, Spirit was laughing in the booth, Tucson having a little bit of fun emoting in the game as well. And maybe that's the key to some victory, as Peanut himself, a guy who knows what it's like to win.
It's always been the most well-known thing about the Rocks core. Always been famous for being very positive guys and keeping the morale high. Famous story in 2015 as they were forced to move their gaming house because their neighbors complained about them singing and cheering too loudly. All the other famous stories about them scrimming without any air conditioning in the summer and things like that. 4 of them on the Rift today. Smeb waiting in the grand final and looking for a big assist from Kuro today for his team to auto-qualify into Worlds. So it is a very important thing. It's very difficult to come back from the first 2 games being lost in a best-of-5 if you don't have that sort of stabilization factor like Kingzone does.
Peanut's pathing allows him to read Spirit, actually, who just cleared the entire top side of his jungle and go ahead and steal that blue buff. So Peanut looking for another 3 buff against Spirit. Not the first time he's done that in the jungle, for guys who know this player, but also gains control of the bottom side. Scuttle might be able to double Scuttle and 3 buff, and that's exactly what Kingzone need. They need Peanut to be popping off in the jungle, and, well, he's got a good start to do exactly that.
We should mention the positivity as we see in the mid lane. Kuro trying for this.
Electrocute is there, but so is the Trundle. BDD flashes, actually. A little bit too safe, I would say, as Spirit does have some nice burst damage, but it is the Predator, not the Electrocute.
Might have been juked by the clone and, of course, saw Spirit coming in with the Predator, so given those 2 variables, the warning sign over his head chose to flash there. As you mentioned, probably too defensive, not BDD-esque. He's usually very much like FLICKR, the sort to not use a summoner spell unless he desperately needs to. It's going to be remove 1 summoner, and we mentioned the game plan here for Afreeca is to rotate through mid lane and kill BDD. Consider that Khan builds a magic resist item, probably Abyssal Mask, no combination of Ryze Gragas or LeBlanc Gragas, probably gets the kill onto Cho'Gath. He can outscale any threat from the Ryze pretty easily. But rotating through the mid lane is the really big way to prosper. Given that, though, given that the Cho'Gath will be able to lane against the Ryze very happily and also plays into the Baron comp that we talked about Afreeca having in games 1 and 2. This time it feels like Afreeca on a bit more of a timer to make things happen compared to Kingzone, who were on that timer in games 1 and 2 and lost both times.
Well, They do not have to deal with the Zoe here for BDD this time around. They dealt with that by banning it. And Kuro on a bit of a carry this time with his own LeBlanc. Want to see what he can do. We've seen so many games of him doing it on the Zoe himself. The Vel'Koz is another one this year. Obviously Yasuo, a very consistent ban against him. He is 3-0 on that pick so far. Now he's got to do it once again. Everybody has been singing the praises of BDD amongst, you know, Kuro just playing the most different types of champions. I'm going to hold that off, though, as Prey. The Ignite comes in. One more auto will do it. Kramer is going to survive here. Just a little bit. But the pillar comes in, forces the flash away. Trundle's fast, though.
His Khan
here. Gonna be
really
down,
want this.
And Khan is coming on in. Should be able to get one. No, Tucson actually gets away. Kramer should be going down at least, but Tucson did do the job in the end. They want to hand that one over to Khan to pick up the kill.
Man, look at your support like Kramer looks to Tucson. He sends him away with a heal and says, go on, son, you live, I'm done. That was a bro move from Kramer. Blows his heel. Might be important in a future trade. They did roam down from the top side. And speaking of the top side, Bray, he just puts his climbing boots on. He's going top lane.
Just the way that that all took place means that awkwardly Prey goes top alone.
There's so many minions that were lost that he wants to pick up farm. Makes sure he's going to back now. So that's very awkward, actually, that he would go all the way there and back. Just trying to pick up farm. Thought maybe there'll be the group minion wave. Don't see that. Gonna watch the replay of what happens. Maybe we're not gonna watch the replay of what happened. We aborted it. Take that replay. We didn't like you anyway.
Some sort of weird time continuum now as we're replaying the current time. Peanut is looking for his third scuttle, as apparently the stats on the top of the screen have also taken a break here. There they are.
Come on, catch up, everybody. We're playing four-dimensional chess over here.
Yeah. Spo TV figuring out production before everyone else.
Prey would really like a minion. He hasn't killed a minion in a very long time.
No minions for you. We've all experienced this in solo queue. Your support roams.
All right, we're all
lane.
going bot lane, and I think Afreeca have overstayed.
Level 6 Trundle here means that you can fight through these guys real fast. Kramer with no knock up here, as he is not level 6, means that that will be the free kill going over to Peanut into the jungle. That's what happens when you overstay.
That was a really weird one. Double control ward down from King Zone, and they were just hitting that turret, whacking away for a long time. Too long. There was definitely a real chance of being collapsed. Speaking of collapse, members of Afreeca, we're seeing already very quickly, seeing a lot of things apparently, but we are seeing very clearly that Merc treads and also the sheer amount of magic resist. 103 magic resist at 8 minutes from Khan.
He doesn't take damage from tier rise. He might be taking negative damage healing. Speaking about overstaying, how about a nice cast perfect to knock Prey into Tucson?
And Prey knows exactly how Kramer fell.
This is all what's going on. They're gonna hand that one over to Kuro on the LeBlanc. All these 80 carries. Is it time to return to the awesome dudes? Because none of the 80 carries are surviving today.
They just getting ganked and ganked. 4 deaths, all deaths on Marksman. This is the love letter to Swain bot lane in this particular game. However, Kramer and Tucson will finally get the turret they set up for before.
An awkward way to get here, but it's going to happen anyway. The first blood turret will go to Kramer.
Being very greedy.
Might as well. Gorilla's not going to stay around. You can deny so many more creeps by doing this.
Let's tell the story of the Varus walking bot lane, walking top lane, walking back bot lane, and going to the death chamber. A tragedy. 600 solo gold goes on to Kramer.
That whole wave, actually. Every single one, including the cannon. That's a ton of gold and a ton of experience that would have been pushing into Prey. That does get denied.
Gonna watch the replay here. This is Spirit saying 2 can play that game. Predator Gragas rolls in. The cask, beautiful from Spirit. And you know, Prey goes down. Really no gameplay to talk about here. They can decide who to give the kill to. It's not the Xayah, but she does get an assist after all. LeBlanc on the board. It is, of course, 2018 LeBlanc. Oh, new old LeBlanc, I guess, the way you talk about it. Much more about her wave clear and burst rotations being instant rather than the Gunblade side lane mage she was earlier this year.
Retro LeBlanc making a return to being fashionable here in the LCK. And, well, it's really easy to hit a cask when your Varus does not have any mobility or flash. That's exactly what Spirit was able to do going to the bottom side. Predator just helps with that. Now they're looking at a Mountain Drake here with that extra map control. And you talked about being greedy. The Xayah is letting the bottom lane push into her. Wasn't here to start doing that Dragon, which means they don't have the damage to take it out here on time. Just gonna give that one away.
Kuro's only got sock shoes as well, so he's not exactly a fearsome foe in the mid lane. Seems like Afreeca trying to do too many things. Kramer on his own agenda. He's a marksman who didn't get minions, so we all know how this goes.
Okay, he's not gonna stay that long. Wanted to push the wave, he did exactly that. And is now gonna back away, and because Kingzone don't want to go in for the Drake, they're gonna back off. It's just a seesaw effect we're having here in this game. As vision goes back and forth. Now Afreeca gonna take control of the Dragon. Will they actually go for it? Looks like the answer is yes.
Both AD carries desperate to go at 10 CS per minute. That'd be the dream for them. Both of them way behind the clock.
Look who's on top of the CS lead is actually BDD up against LeBlanc. 121 at 11.5.
They haven't played through mid lane as much recently, so BDD has had the reprieve to farm out, and I think BDD does hold the quarterback role on the Orianna this time as a big CS lead. And that's the sort of thing that can be turned on. Speaking of being turned on, Keen is overextended.
Yep, he has his flash. He's actually going to use it here. He has the face rush, and there you go. He's got his Nikes on tonight. I was doubting him for just a split second, and then I remembered it was Keen.
Damn, the face rush makes you real fast, and it made the pillar look comical in face of him. So walked away from that one. Cool guys don't look like explosions or pillars, apparently, says Keen.
He got the shield too. He's like, nah, you're not doing any damage to me. Cho'Gath's not close enough. So.
Spirit revealed on this ward.
Well, he's had a lot of good casts today. We can give that one away.
Yeah, not sure about that one. Does push the minions and Kramer picks them up, so it was all a big plan to get farm, apparently. Tusin's going alone. He could die.
Speaking of dying, the double knockup into Feast will be easy. 1, 2, 3. A lot of face checking tonight. I don't know what's going on, but Tusin joining the party.
Whether it's a large fat man or a large alien, there's been jump scares for everyone this game. Finally, a bot laner that isn't a marksman goes down. Tusin boots a mobility straight into his death. Map control being swapped left and right, left and right. Again, the growing pressure is that Orianna is farming out. The shockwave's likely to come online. And yep, this is not getting into do anything in the video game. Silenced, ignited, chomped. Goodbye. We say to Tusin.
You're enjoying the sounds of Korean Trundle. He's a little bit crazy. Play a lot of him. He likes to scream. Just like Lysandra. Just the way it goes. Speaking of which, Peanut has been having a really good game on the Trundle so far, even though he did miss the kill onto Keen in the beginning.
And when we discuss for the viewers, who does this kind of kill for kill, trading early game suit? Our analysis was Khan wins the 1-3-1 or the 4-1 this game. Very good into Ryze, very good into LeBlanc, who can also situationally side lane. He already is 2-0-0, plenty of magic resist. Afreeca, Kingzone can also make this game about the Baron, peel on and off, and then a headbutt pulverized shockwave is going to take you down. All those win conditions, everything on that checklist is working for Kingzone, and Afreeca, who we look to rotate through mid lane and punish the Orianna, hasn't happened. So this early game, the first 15 minutes, suits Kingzone more than it suits Afreeca Freecs. And we need to see Afreeca find a way to use their mobility, a Realm Walk, Gragas Ultimate, the LeBlanc mobility to get some picks. Otherwise, I think this game is looking too robust from a Kingzone perspective.
I mentioned it before. Felt like people were getting really excited after game number 2. You guys will remember it, even though it was relatively fast. It was a stomp by Afreeca over Kingzone. About 30 minutes is all it took as they won 15-2 in kills. It was very one-sided, and everybody just felt like, hey, Afreeca's gonna walk over Kingzone. They look really bad today. Well, Kingzone, they have the experience to come back in a series like this and actually get the reverse sweep. So, again, it's not over till it's over.
That's why we talked about in Game 3 the strategy that won Afreeca the games. Because Kingzone's not going to roll up and just lose because they're chokers or some other inverted comma moment. They lost the first 2 games because they had a read that we must 1-3-1. That's what everyone does. And Afreeca went for Baron comps that countered it. That was really well done by Afreeca. I guess the real criticism is it took 2 games for Kingzone to realize their mistake, but by Game 3 they got there. They've been able to shake off some of their points, and while we've said, okay, they've got the ability to stay in good spirits, we've also called them emotional. So how do those 2 things come together? The good spirits were there after the losses. The emotions were clear after Rift Rivals, after a longer streak. Recently, they've been winning, so credit to them to trade on the positivity, to be able to center themselves, because they're making this game a lot more like the games they were on a 5-match win streak around in the recent week.
Look at Tucson, he's stuck behind him, he's gonna knock him up, but here's BDD, perfect cast though, as Peanut goes down in the end, and Tucson is gonna get that big engage. Kuro trying to get the follow-up onto BDD. Kindo is gonna be ulted in the front line, no fee's gonna come in just yet. Spirit though, trying to predict that flash, is not going to be able to do so with the body slam. Just the 1 kill onto Peanut was the only thing that happened amongst all the action.
Flank's really nice coming in from Tucson, trademark from him, but like you say, it's a kill. It's not even positioning on the Rift Herald. They're probably going to have to pull away from that, and Peanut will be hitting the Rift very soon. I'd like to find a way to get this top lane out of turret. Is just a bit of visual lag on our end, guys. If that was actually an in-game bug, we'd be paused for lag issues. It's BDD.
Kuro trying to do it himself. Not going to happen. BDD also has cleanse. Should be just fine there in the mid lane.
Right, farming up in the top side. Items just not there for Kuro. After the finger was taken off the accelerator, we haven't seen the Orianna punished, and she's doing just fine in trades. Going to see the replay. Very Tucson-esque play. Tucson Ignar, they're known for these flanking plays. They get the pick. It's only onto the smite, but it's 16 minutes in. They don't get anybody else, so they can't take the Rift Herald. So it's very minimum of an advantage claimed by Afreeca Freecs.
Chains of Corruption there on Spirit is able to survive with his stopwatch. Tucson in a little bit of trouble on screen, is going to be able to hop out of there. Infernal Drake is going to be the second one, and Khan coming in. Oh, Kuro might go down here. Peanut on the run, on the chase. Big follow-up here from Gorilla, the double knock-up, and there's the Toga right in the front line. No stopwatch this time, but he gets away anyway. Never mind, the piercing arrow comes in, and Prey is able to follow up. This time it's only 1 for 0, but that'll be also the Infernal Drake to Kingzone.
The heal looked like it'll be clutch, but the arrow is the one to pierce the heart of Spirit. This jungler going down will lead to an Infernal Drake pickup from Kingzone, second Drake of the game. Killing an objective versus just a kill. Another small advantage Kingzone. It gets them closer and closer to flopping 5 control wards around Baron and then saying, what you got, Afreeca Freecs? Give us your best shot. This is where we succeed.
Feeling really good about this game now. The Infernal going to be fantastic. Thinking about the Rift Herald now. No TP on Khan, and his recall means that they will not stretch for that objective, but they already got that nice little snack to lead into the full course meal that could be coming later on.
Watching the replay of this, the Cho'Gath is lying in wait very early. The fight happens on the top side. Kuro doesn't go down, but is zoned out instantly. He just doesn't kill people. This is the LeBlanc from behind Valdez, which we haven't seen much. KT blind picked first time in pro play Yukal onto the LeBlanc and made it work. But this time, they didn't repeat gank after getting the flash. Top lane.
Prey, and there's going to be the knockup. Finally, the LeBlanc doesn't have the damage, but is going to have enough in this fight. And Peanut goes down to a double kill now to Kuro, who is now 3-0 in this game somehow on the dive in the top lane.
Take that analysis away. You donate 2 more kills. Maybe he can hit the second item early to make the LeBlanc work. Very fortuitous stuff. Didn't see the setup to know how they could get through easily enough. More than about 30 seconds here, they'll definitely pick up the Rift Herald. This is a big piece of momentum for Afreeca Freecs.
A big mistake by Kingzone. We didn't actually see how they got into the top side, but Afreeca, they were able to make that rotation into a double kill, 7 stacks on a Dark Seal for the 3-0 LeBlanc, and a Rift Herald, which means that acceleration you wanted out of Afreeca is going to come a lot faster.
Realm Warp is on cooldown, so I imagine It may have been used to just gap close. I was actually on cooldown to begin. Let's watch the play here. They just set up. They pop the Predator and say, I'm here, by the way.
5-on-2.
And then 5-on-2. Seems like Kingzone say, well, if it's 2v3, 2v4, maybe we can outplay. 2v5, that's not possible. Good job by Tucson tanking up the turret. Ends up being too easy, though. We're thinking of the creative way for the play to happen. Sometimes the truth is simpler than that. They pick up the easy kill, they back away, and Afreeca Freecs have a lot of mobility. LeBlanc, Gragas, Rise, and their Rakan can all skip over walls and find picks. Didn't seem that was going to happen. Seemed like Kingzone were going to shop after their Infernal, make it about Baron plays. But Kingzone making a mistake. It was like they handball the game over back to Afreeca Freecs.
The 2 kills put the LeBlanc in parity with gold with the BDD in the mid lane, but actually the biggest gold difference on the Rift right now is the 80 carry roll. Kramer ahead of Prey 2 levels and also about a half item right now with the extra assists and the extra 35 or so CS. So he's going to be feeling good. Knows Zoe to assassinate him from behind this time around. As long as he dodges some kind of wombo combo, we could see Kramer pop off in this game and carry.
The other advantage is while Khan is 100 gold behind the Rise, his items stack up so well to Afreeca Freecs. It's like having a gold lane. This Cho'Gath is in a really good spot to win the game. Raid boss Cho'Gath. With so many people on the World of Warcraft hype train. The raid boss status of this Cho'Gath is definitely to be confirmed. Void Star's not going to change anything about that towards the Rise. So lane assignment here is the tricky thing for Kingzone. You can send Cho'Gath anywhere, but you can't send Prey and BDD to the same place. Don't want to be side laning as an Orianna, so that makes things a little bit tricky here to problem solve for Kingzone. It means that BDD will wait till minion waves are pushed in pretty safely and then take them back.
Good predict there from BDD. Analysis makes sense, but if Kuro loses half his health bar and, well, happens again, so Kuro with no mana, no health, is gonna look to potentially back here.
7 stacks already on Mr. Cho'Gath. He deserves a title now. He's certainly, yes, Mr. is his title.
Doesn't have the right skin though, Papa.
It's true.
He's got the new one, I guess.
We could have had a Gragas Esquire and a Gentleman Cho'Gath, not to be today.
Really unfortunate.
Will we see an Afreeca Freecs victory, which would be by far the most surprising result? 3-1 Kingzone, 3-0 Kingzone, but after that 2-game lead from a smart meta read by the Afreeca coaching staff over Kingzone. Kingzone, to their credit, are making less mistakes. Still making some mistakes, like we saw that double kill, but less mistakes in games 3 and 4. This game is up there to be won. BDD was the one to be the match winner in game number 3. Who will it be in game number 4?
Talked about smart drafting, smart coaching from the side of Afreeca. They definitely do have that. Gotta wonder what would have happened if they banned out Kai'Sa in spring, but we'll never know. Rift Herald is gonna get that charge into the mid lane turret. It's not gonna be enough to take it out though. As the eye does poke it down. All 5 members of Kingzone group up to stop that objective from being taken here by Afreeca.
So what's the next moment? What is the turning point for this game? Kingzone much more happy to keep it out in the open, and then when they feel strong enough, start face checking for vision around the Baron to make this a Baron game. For now, Varus and Ori feeling strong enough to walk up. They're not going to get real turret damage. Tucson always on their own for a flank, but much trickier to do. There's a nice control ward to spot the flank here. But drawing Afreeca out into the open is what Kingzone want to do, and that means that BDD is picking up farm along the way. That'd be ideal also.
Tucson could have gone into that one, but it looked like the follow-up from his teammates would have been a little bit too short, a little bit too slow, I should say. They're looking to actually bully Khan here as nice body slam over the wall. It's a perfect knockup with that cast. Do they have the damage, though, to take him out? Yes, they do. The rest of Kingzone going to be late, and now that second Infernal looking tasty for Afreeca.
A really nice collapse play, eventually able to pick up the kill there. Turning onto the Infernal, they'll get that one, it's down. Khan can hit the Rift, but not for 30 seconds. These death timers are getting pretty long as mid lane.
Okay, well, Kuro says, here, have one back. Will we have a snipe this time? The answer will be no, as Kuro just barely able to get out of that one.
Slivers of health a couple of times so far this game. Here's Afreeca.
In the back line, no, they want that Orianna. Isn't enough damage. No, Prey will survive. The ball is going to keep him alive, but here's Kane, the flash on in, and he's got the follow-up finally. Gorilla might just be looking to flash this wall eventually, as no other way out. BDD with no mana here and no summoners, trying to turn it on to Kuro, but he cannot in the end.
Team effort to pick up the kills, but they're able to inch and piece together the damage to actually take down both BDD and Peanut. Smite is dead, but the mana bars are not the highest. The tankiness does not reach its highest ebb either, so there'll be no Baron to fully punish Kingzone. But this is blow for blow stuff in game number 4.
Really gotta applaud Afreeca for having the cojones to go into that fight, as it didn't look good. Kuro almost hinting one towards them, getting hit straight in the face by a corrupting chain of corruptions.
Good news is that Spirit and Tucson get to come in out of vision, and that's the big advantage they gain. It looks like Kuro's life bar will be in vain, but they almost one rotation burst Prey. Kramer's taken down on the back end. They eventually clear up 2 kills, but there's so little to pick between the two teams, especially now that Keen has had to use his flash to clean up Peanut.
Rest of them outside of BDD, able to get away. Only the 2 of them, I should say. Gorilla and Prey. The bot lane duo going hand in hand on the escape. It was really surprising that Prey did not go down there. It was actually Kramer, the only AD carry, that died in that fight. But you can tell, guys, even with the Afreeca with a nice gold lead here, about 3,300, the game is not over. Kingzone actually do have a decent chance to win this one still.
We're still waiting for Kramer to actually play to item timings. 2 games in a row. He's been ahead in items of Prey in game 3 and game 4. Also, Prey has had to go a real scared build on the Varus. He's gone for Play the Ruin King Rapid Fire Cannon for just a couple of autos. This is not a Play the Ruin King Rage Blade build. He's kind of like a Hex Drinker short of being fully on the back foot, but that's what LeBlanc does to you. She hits level 16, she has a short rotation QR, and your health bar disappears. So he's just trying to get in as much damage as possible. Kramer's going to have another 30-minute 3-item build, but actually leveraging that build in a team fight, there's much less threat from Kingzone, especially if you see the Rupture go down. Seems like Kramer is set up to carry, but until we see it, it's not going to mean so much if it's implied.
I'll believe it when I see it. He was getting sniped in the back by Zoe in game number 3. This time around, he got a little bit too close to the flame in that last team fight, died before he could do much damage at all. We have to have a legitimate reason to say Kramer was the better choice to bring in here, even for the AD carries. He looked good in the games where it was snowballed and they were really far ahead. But how about the close games where he has to be a bit of the, you know, team fight carry with that sustained damage? I'm waiting to see it.
I don't think Afreeca get relatively stronger than Kingzone after this moment. They have Infinity Edge now, and the Infinity Edge is matched by a Hex Drinker, because he needs Hex Drinker. There's nothing you can do as a marksman against LeBlanc if you don't have Magic Resist or another tool. But that means that Afreeca are really in a huge position of power compared to Kingzone. 2-item Orianna. It's kind of like a 1.5 item Varus because of the low damage nature of the build. So they need to be able to turn that into, we should win basically all equal execution 5v5s and easily win an execution where we're able to get the good initiation as well. And as you mentioned just a moment ago, we have to believe it when we see it.
What have you got, Kramer? Certainly a lot resting on your shoulders, even from Tucson, who did pick up the Zeke's Convergence once again to try to make this Xayah work. Very common in the duo, not just about, you know, making Kramer the carry here, but we'll see what he can do. I'm also excited about Keen, even though that immense amount of magic resist was built up onto Khan. Keen's still now 3 levels ahead, and the ability for him to TP into fights and burst someone down who's out of position is still there, and Kingzone have shown over the course of this series that they can make some mistakes. They're not going to be perfect today.
And Keen has been the beneficiary of Kingzone having pretty limited ways to play side lanes. We always say with Orianna compared to other champions that when the mid lane turret goes down, she finds it difficult to find safe places to farm. She has, because the team has given her that. But Cho'Gath hasn't been able to keep up in CS. Often there's been 2 carries in 1 lane for Kingzone, and someone has been solo farming on the side of Afreeca. And that has been to the tune of Some very nice items coming through from Keen. Even went Abyssal Mask to not take so much damage in the trades coming through from Khan. Now he's doing really, really well to the tune of about 2,000 gold lead, despite the fact that Cho'Gath started this game 2-0.
2,000 gold ahead in the top side, 2,000 in the bot side, about maybe 1.5. Pretty even in gold in the mid lane as BDD once again is trying to shore up the CS division of his team, although Kramer is #1 on the Rift. 3 items here for the Cho'Gath now, as he is just going to be unkillable with all that extra health as well. Talked about the flanks from Keen, but you mentioned the straight-up 5v5 Cho'Gath going straight in and turning off of a Baron or killing the Baron is going to be really hard to break through.
You might think it's not a good use of time to kill Ocean Drake at 30 minutes, but getting the Elder to spawn is really important for Afreeca. Here comes King Zone.
Good pillar, but again, you talked about mobility. It's body slam, it's Rakan, even Zaya has a way to lift off. Thinking about actually going on in here is Spirit. Not gonna do it though, just gonna clear out some vision. But yeah, everybody can get away from that pillar. So far, Peanut did have a good early game, but what can he do here in the late game compared to that Gragas cast? We've seen the Gragas shoot up, rocket up like a stock that just went up in earnings or something, and it's super high tier now. It's part of the reason why they first picked it in game #4, did Afreeca.
Speaking of super high tier, Ryze might be dead.
High tier would be a Ryze kill. Can Keen get away this time? He is gonna flash in the phase rush again. They're turning onto the Baron too. Look at how low it is. Oh no, they're gonna come off of it now as Peanut only gonna spot it now. I feel like they could have done it. It was really, really close. King Zone, the rest of them were coming on in, but I guess Afreeca this time around did not want to take the risk.
Too risky to stay on the objective. They knew Peanut was in the area. Kramer's actually just hanging around the corner, looking to see what he can make happen. King Zone have the one recall, it's just Peanut, he'll back away. Full combo from Kuro, doing most of the health bar. Ignite would have been answered by the command Protect, but the damage threat is certainly there coming through from Kuro. With the Rise and with what was actually claimed by Afreeca, they can 1-3-1 now that Khan has been denied CS. So for now, at least, they're finding 1-3-1 pressure. Getting the Elder Dragon to spawn is a reminder of why King Zone in games 1 and 2 on the 1-3-1 hype train. These 4-1 comps that King Zone has defaulted to in games 3 and 4 play so well around the Baron. If you make this about the one objective that you own control over, the enemy team can't make smart moves. But 1-3-1 with the Rise being able to get through any laning phase became popular in Korea because then you make it about multiple big objectives, and the enemy team that has strong Baron secure can't just secure Baron and not give up an objective on the other side. So Afreeca trying to draw them across the map. They can also take the right 5v5 if they find the big engage from Rakan as well. For King Zone, they're trying to make this game predictable. That's the last thing that Afreeca Freecs want.
You're going to be looking for them picks. Kuro, he had a blasting wand, went back, bought 2 control wards and a full void staff. So you saw the burst damage before he went back home. Now he's got even more. That's the potential to even just one combo, probably 3 members on the Rift right now that are not Alistair and Cho'Gath.
Khan's grouping, he doesn't want to deal with Rise. He wants to make a proactive move. They also had the Baron secure, remember, of that Cho'Gath. Spirit and Kuro, they know Kuro's there. Might have a good idea about Spirit, but they're going to disengage anyway. All this posturing, though, with the Cho'Gath grouped, will mean in a turret to Afreeca Freecs.
Spread was really nice from Afreeca to collapse, just in case King Zone did something crazy, like start a Baron or try to go for a big pick. They could have easily sandwiched them. Really good positioning and vision control once again from Afreeca. It's what they're good at. The Rise going to take out that inner turret and get even farther ahead.
Growing a minion lead from these plays.
Yeah.
King Zone are playing in 2 lanes, Afreeca are playing in 3. So now 74 CS top. Spirit's not spotted here, but can always body slam away. They definitely don't know he's there.
That's really important. Take a look at the defensive items that King Zone have on their carries. Banshee Veil. Nice bit of burst damage there from the LeBlanc, but Banshee Veil on the Orianna as well as Guardian Angel onto Prey. That's to stop them from getting one rotation by the LeBlanc specifically. with the help of, you know, a Gragas and a Rakan to get in your face. So they have the ability to survive if they can get the team fight on their terms. Could be able to come back in this one.
FLICKR Freecs fighting really hard to clear the control ward around blue buff, but seems very unlikely to happen. Kingzone is happy to fully defend there, and if Trundle patrols a control ward while Orianna and Varus are farming, he's done his job. They need more items onto their Varus and Ori.
There it is, that one rotation on a Peanut. This is what I was talking about. The Void Staff, and they've already started the Baron here.
This is great.
They don't have a smite. Peanut's gonna stop it. Gorilla ulting on in. They really want to stop this Baron. It's gonna get so low. The Gragas gets knocked up. Is there gonna be the steal? The smite comes in and no steal. And Peanut will go down as well as the Alistair. Prey and the rest of them on the run. BDD can't do anything alone. And Afreeca might just be able to win this huge fight and go on to the next round of the playoffs if they take him out. Prey goes down. Spirit going for the big run onto BDD. Is going to get the body slam into the cask, and down he goes, the double kill. And with the Baron, Afreeca looking to push to win.
Afreeca problem solve their way to it, Valdez. The Cho'Gath is still alive. Death time is 40 seconds. Can Afreeca Freecs knock Kingzone out?
Well, they get the leash here and a knock him on a Cho'Gath. They have enough damage to take him out through the stone blade. And Afreeca, they're so close to winning this game. It looks like they've done it at Papa Smithy. But that means that Afreeca should be moving on to the next round, as well as KT making it into Worlds. We'll see what Gorilla can do. He's gonna stopwatch here, keep them all busy. The big knock-up. Peanut trying to stop them, but it doesn't look like it's possible. He goes down, and Afreeca, they're moving on, and KT are going to Worlds.
The wheels of change are there, Valdez, for the first time ever in the LCK era. Neither FLICKR, nor Prey, nor Gorilla will be in an LCK final. Afreeca Freecs have knocked out Kingzone DragonX. They are speeding through the playoffs. They did drop a game, but they outthought Kingzone in the draft. They outthought the 1-3-1 with a 4-1 comp, and then when Kingzone said, okay, let's just have 4-1 versus 4-1, they brought back out the 1-3-1, made one good play around Baron, and now Afreeca Freecs have knocked out Kingzone DragonX. KT Rolster fans can feel excited. You still want your LCK title, but Smeb, Score, Ukal, Deft and Mana will be going to Worlds. They will be coming in as the first or the second seeds. Afreeca Freecs, if they make the final, will go in regardless of if they win it or not.
It's very true. You see the celebration in the booth there from Afreeca. Imagine KT at home as they get that World's berth. It means even more to them. It's weird to see and say even, because Afreeca, they're the teams that won today. They took out the giant that was Kingzone, the big favorite that was supposed to win. It was supposed to be the way it went, but that's not what happened today. Afreeca making a big statement. They take out Genji and Kingzone. Where does their run stop? Does it stop with Griffin? Do we have the Griffin KT hype final? Do we have Afreeca come in, stomp Griffin as well? Another big favorite. Not really sure who to call the favorite in that matchup anymore.
So hard to evaluate Afreeca. They can be this chameleon that works out what you want to do and find a way to underpin it and beat it. That's what they've done against first Genji into Kingzone DragonX. Kingzone had never run the gauntlet before, and at their first stage of the gauntlet will be eliminated. That means Afreeca Freecs get their first victory over Khan and BDD since they joined Longzhu Gaming at the end of 2017. From summer season onwards, Afreeca had never beaten them. Famous victory today, huge upset. The betting markets must be going crazy. Seeing Prey taken down in the bot side. That was the early kill. Prey's early deaths was something that really struggled, and both marksmen were certainly throwing a wrench and then some. 4 marksman deaths with the first 4 kills of the game. But from there, Kingzone were able to square the game up to a point. However, Cho'Gath giving up his CS so that they could get Varus and Orianna fed meant that eventually Keen kind of ran away with the game. And when the game was there to be won, the more decisive team was Afreeca Freecs.
This is the big mistake in the game for me. Afreeca, a really fantastic read. They see the 2 of them going top, and 5 of them group in the top lane and say, we are going to get the 2 kills and the Rift Herald, and that is what accelerated the game in their path, in their direction. They get a couple other picks. Khan goes down here. Spirit once again, an unbelievably good game on the Gragas. Kuro, he nearly dies multiple times, but he does this job on the LeBlanc as well.
Pieces of Kingzone that used to be so reliable start to worry about them, Valdez. No longer are you there 1 year ago thinking, wow, are these the best players in their role, in every role? Doesn't feel like we're there anymore, and somehow the sum of the parts also seems to be a little bit more susceptible as well. Game 1 and Game 2 was very smart drafting from Afreeca. In game number 3, the bluff was called by Kingzone, but Afreeca were once again one step ahead. Griffin have had their own tendencies that Afreeca could look to punish, but Griffin have also been off the rift for a while. So it'll be interesting to see which Griffin we see on Saturday when the semifinals of the LCK resumes. Kingzone will be the big boss at the end of the regional qualifier. We now know the first round of the regional qualifier will be SKT versus Gen.G. We'll see who'll be joining in the middle. Will it be Griffin or Afreeca? The final boss will be Kingzone DragonX. So many circuit points there. Yeah, Afreeca Freecs able to close this one out. I thought Spirit had a wonderful series.
Yeah, really did.
Kramer.
I feel like Kramer had a good series. Kuro in the end, he played that LeBlanc really well. He was the one that burst down Peanut. Remember, for them to make that Baron safe, they didn't have too much Baron damage with only the Xayah hitting it there with the Rakan. So really good LeBlanc play once again. It was the team as a whole keen knowing to get the 3 attacks to make sure his phase rush gets off, living multiple times. Kramer actually does come through for us on that 80 carry roll. Let's see who the MVP was of game number 4 here. The third win will be Spirit once again. Definitely very well deserved. And well, there you go, guys. Spirit gets it once again on the Gragas.
Definitely had a fantastic series, did Spirit. Peanut was able to overshadow him many times in a row, but today Spirit is the one smiling, looking for his second LCK title. All the pre-match expectation, all the history. It was all Kingzone DragonX, but your winners on the day, Afreeca Freecs.
There you have it, guys. I'm going to hand it to Ji-Sun. She's going to help out with the translation of this interview.
Thank you very much. This is Ji-Sun with your interview translations, and Afreeca Freecs took down Kingzone DragonX with 3-1 victory. So they're heading to the playoffs round 2, and we're going to be joined by Kramer and Spirit from Afreeca Freecs for the last interview of the Sport TV LCK. Congratulations. So it took an year and a half for you guys to take down Kingzone. So how do you guys feel? It must be very meaningful for you guys.
일단 광복절 기념으로요. 이겨서 되게
Well, today is a national holiday, so I think I made a celebration by myself.
생각하겠습니다.
And I think it was a great day to get rid of all the curses about Kingzone. Well, I was planning to have a vacation after tomorrow, but I think I better go back to practice. I'm gonna do my best to prepare for the Griffin matchup. I think this means more than a vacation, right? So first question. Kramer and Spirit. So you guys are the ones picking up every MVPs for all the matchups so far. Did you expect that?
일단 저는 MVP를 받을 줄 몰랐는데.
Well, I actually didn't know. It feels really great. What about you, Spirit? Well, we're friends. We are born in 1996. I think we are strong in big tournaments. I think we're gonna pick up another MVP next time.
그렇군요. 좋습니다. 자, 이제 스피릿 선수에게 좀 질문을 드리고
So
싶은데
this question is for Spirit.
하루 종일 레드 진영에서
Well,
왔어요.
what surprised us is that Afreeca kind of insisted on red side.
딱히 큰 이유는 없었는데요.
There was no big reason for that.
상대가 레드를 자꾸 주더라고요.
Well, I think Kingzone just allowed us to play red side a lot. So
레드 한번 더
we just wanted to see what Kingzone had prepared for today's match.
본인들이 선택할 수 있는 시간이 있었잖아요. 그때도
Even though you guys were about to choose the side, you guys chose the red side. But first time, Kingzone picked the blue side. So we want to see what kind of preparation or strategy they were trying to bring in.
아, 자신이 있었군요.
자신은 크게 없었는데.
Well, we're not that confident, but we were just being curious.
이제 저희가 또 궁금했던 기인 선수가 기존에는 약간
And
이전에는
another question is that during the wild cards, he kind of went with offensive champs, but today he insisted on tank champs. What kind of strategy is that?
안 된다.
위해서
Well,
맞아요.
it's a secret.
우문현답 제가 잘못 물어본 것 같아요.
아, 네.
다음번에 뭐 물어볼
We
수 있는
have-
기회가
we still got
있으면
some matches to
질문을
go,
또
so it's a
대답을 해주시면
secret.
될것 같고, 스피릿 선수가 오늘의 그 경기의 키 플레이어로 본인을
And Sprit, in the previous interview, you called yourself as a key player for this matchup.
그 이유가 뭐였어요?
How are you so
오늘
confident about whole series?
제가 못하지만 않으면 이길 수 있습니다.
I felt like if I don't play bad, I knew we were gonna win.
그래서 제가 키플레이어인데
That's why I'm the key player, and I'm the key player for the next matchup also.
어떤 근거가 따로 있는 건
I'm the
아니고
one who
다만
matters.
잘하면 되기 때문에.
저희 팀원들 다 잘하는데
Because all the other players are so good, so I'm just the one who has to be improved.
스피릿 선수만 잘하면
What
이기나요?
about you, Kramer? Is that true?
맞는 것 같아요.
I agree.
스피릿 선수만 잘하면 아프리카 프릭스가 이긴다?
네.
Spirit is the one who has the trouble, so if we get rid of all these troubles, I think Afreeca can win.
수 있는 그런 근거가 있는 겁니까?
근데 오늘까지 운을 다 쓴 것 같아서 이제
I think I am out of my luck so far, so I'm gonna hand over to my players to carry the game.
좋습니다. 자, 이제 아프리카가 포스트 시즌에 와서 도장 깨기 하고
So
있습니다.
Afreeca
지난
still gotta
경기 때
climb
저희가
up through the
들었던
playoffs.
부담 없이 왔다라는 얘기를
And you guys
들었거든요.
mentioned in the interviews that you guys trying to be without pressures.
저희가 일단 지면은 휴가라서
Well, if we lose, we're gonna get
지면은
vacations.
휴가 간다는 마인드로 이제
So
게임을 하고
we,
있는데
yeah, that was the kind of mindset we gotta bring in before the games.
좀 편안한 분위기를 추구하다 보니까
Well, I actually had some pressure, but all the other players were trying to get rid of all the pressures.
선수가 세트 지고 나서 굉장히 활짝 웃고 있는 거예요.
So even though you guys were losing, I saw Spirit smiling. Well, I was waiting for the vacation,
보내주네요.
but they're not letting me to go.
그러게.
Our players are being so good.
네, 좋습니다. 자, 이제 다음 상대가 그리핀이네요.
And your next
상대 전적은
opponent will be
동일합니다만
Griffin.
플레이오프 경험으로 따지자면
And Afreeca
사실
has more
신입생이잖아요.
experience at
아프리카가
best of fives and playoffs,
완전한
so
상대인데 크레몬 선수가
I bet it will be less
자신 있습니다.
stressful than before, right?
일단 저는 자신이 있는데
I am quite confident.
경기가 자신 있었거든요.
I have been confident all throughout the times,
더 해봐야 알 것 같아요.
but I think, yeah, we have to prepare a little bit more.
스피릿 선수는
What about you, Spirit? I'm not confident.
그리핀 형님들께서 정말 잘하시거든요.
Griffin
실력이 괜히
is
하는 거
too
아니고
good.
너무 잘하시기 때문에 저희는 또 약자의 마음으로다가
Well, so
1세트
I'm gonna have the mindset as the underdog. I'm gonna prepare a lot.
형님들 상상 부탁드립니다. 뭐 나이 순으로는
I'm gonna waiting for mercy
아니지만
from
이럴 때
Griffin.
뭐 형님이라고 부를 수도 있겠죠. 그런데 이제 한 번만 더 승리를 거두면요. 이겨야
Well, one more victory is left, not only for the finals, but also your spot in the Worlds.
이거 어떻게 할 거예요?
You did not know?
직행을 좀 기대를 안 하고 있긴 한데
Well, I don't have high
혹시 KT 형님들이
expectations,
우승해 주신다면 또
but maybe Kate the Roaster will win the whole series and we might be able to get to Worlds.
아, 갑자기 그래요?
네.
자꾸 다 형님이 되는군요. 이 승리
그럼요.
앞에서. 크레머 선수는 어때요?
What about you, Kramer? Don't you want to be at Worlds?
이제 KT 형님들이 우승해주면 좋긴
If Katie
한데
wins the summer
아무래도 이제
split.
저희가 이기면서 올라가는 게 좋으니까.
But the best thing is to achieve our own spot by ourselves. I want to win.
저도 이기고는 싶죠. 네.
Yeah, I do want to win. I don't want to lose, but I have high hopes about Katie Roaster.
말씀씩 들어보면서 이제 경기
So, would you like to say any last message?
이제 그리핀조인데.
So our next opponent will be
저희는 항상
Griffin.
전략이 많으니까
We have
다음번에도
various
기대해 주셨으면
strategies,
좋겠고,
so I
그리핀전도
want my
잘
fans to
치르겠습니다.
keep supporting
네,
us.
고맙습니다.
다음 경기 그리핀전인데
So, the Griffin matchup,
저희 보티오가 질 것 같거든요.
I think Viper Luhan seems so stronger than our bot laners, so I want them to show their mercy.
최대한 1인분 이상 할 수 있도록
And I'm gonna do
노력하겠습니다.
my best to fulfill my role by myself.
오늘
Thank
같은
you.
모습이라면 저는 그 형님들한테 충분히 또 강력한 모습 보여줄 수 있을 거라고 생각합니다. 자, 계속해서
So
멋진
this
모습
will be the end of the interview with Kramer and Spirit from Afreeca Freecs, and I will pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you, Jisun, for the wonderful translation. There you have it, guys. Best of 5. This one goes 3-1 once again. But this time over to the Afreeca Freecs over Kingzone. It's really nice to see Spirit having a lot of fun in the interview. You know, just saying, no, those strategies are secret. You know, their bottom lane is better. You know, yada, yada, yada. It's just good to see him in good spirits after finally achieving a big win for his team.
This feels like a moment in time where we will not have Prey and Gorilla, we will not have FLICKR, we will not have SKT or Kingzone those orgs that have won so consistently. It's going to be a very different time, and what to expect for the semi-final or the grand final, which will be at Incheon Samsung World Gymnasium. That was KT Rolster versus SKT, Spring 2017 finals venue. We're back there for this final as well. That semi-final, it's such a tantalizing one because we've always tried to put Griffin in a box. Who are they? What are they? Who are they like? Their story is pretty singular at the end of the day. By the end of the season, they were kind of creaking along, Valdez. They went 5-4 in the second round robin. Felt like some of their early game tendencies were exploited by some teams. That's definitely going to be the tape that Afreeca Freecs going to look at, and we look at Afreeca as one of our best preparing teams. Certainly prepared for Gen G and Kingzone in very impressive fashion. What will they make of Griffin? And what will Griffin make of Griffin? Because I think they could really have a very big turnaround on their playstyle. We don't know for sure which Griffin will line up. They've been in a weird spot meta read-wise for a couple of weeks now. Will Sword just be on Cho'Gath every game, Kai'Sa every game in the bot lane, and they just get rolled over by Afreeca like Kingzone did a couple of games in a row? Or will we see a new Griffin? Because they're so new, because that first best of 5. And honestly, all those variables come up of, do we have players who reach their first best of 5 on a big stage and just can't perform the same level as when they're in the regular season? We can't know answers to questions like that, and that's why I need to see it to believe it, to truly understand Afreeca Freecs versus Griffin.
Yeah, my expectation is the series should look a lot like this. I think they will do what you're saying, you know, Viper on the Kai'Sa, Cho'Gath in the top lane for Sword, have him as that good foundation in the back. I just think they're not really going to make that many mistakes, right? They didn't look fantastic at the end of the year, but I think when you have this much time to prepare for a series, the semifinals, that's this important, those young players have shown that they can perform even under pressure before. I think they should be favored into that one, but we're going to have to wait until Saturday, guys. Again, this is going to be the last day for the 2018 LCK Summer at SPO TV. Thank you guys so much for joining me and Papa every single day here on Sundays and Tuesdays. Sometimes Fridays, we were doing some extra days. It was a lot of fun to have you over here, Papa, for the whole year. So
it's been a hot summer. It's been a pleasure, Valdez. We got more League of Legends coming up. That's what I'm excited about, whether you're going to be watching on in chat or casting it or whatever. There's a lot of excitement there. Atlas and I will be bringing the semifinal. Just a few days' time. A few days, and that's going to be so interesting what little adaptations can happen, because just from the end of the regular season to wildcard, a lot of changes. And then also Afreeca Freecs getting ahead of the meta for the Kingzone series as well. Where does the meta rest at the end of this 8-15 patch cycle? We're not to know just yet.
Yeah.
And KT Rolster fans, big congratulations. You guys are locked in. Kind of a weird feeling to get it done as a favor, because at the end of the day, KT still do have business. They still want to be LCK champions, and they could still be that.
This could be the year. Maybe it is LCK and Worlds. We'll have to find out, but that's going to do it for us, guys. See you next time. Good night.
I see you always wanna go somewhere to waste your golden soul. I see the smile you never show. Oh no.
It's been many days, many ways misled, knowing that I'm tiptoeing on both sides of the fence, trying to figure it out, but I'm living in doubt. So scared one day that your grace might run out, cause I'm so far from perfect, so close to worthless, feeling no good for worship, trying to understand this life that you purchased. Am I just a man destined for death, or do I deserve it? You died for my sins and that's the verdict. You carried out God's true will and purpose with urgency for the sake of love, forgiveness and eternity. Your grace is enough. I got so many questions, so many things to change. I'm calling out, but sometimes you're far away. I get discouraged and seem to always fall flat, but that's when you pick me up and bring me back.